You're scrolling through options because you need a reliable ice source that won't quit on you in the middle of a busy shift or a weekend party. The last thing you want is a tiny bin that runs out before the first round of drinks is even poured, or a fancy unit that looks great on paper but ends up taking up more space than you have. That hesitation wondering whether the investment will actually make your life easier, not more complicated, is what most buyers feel before they pick an ice storage solution. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Ice-O-Matic B110PS isn't a gadget that promises 1000F cooling power or a high-tech touchscreen. What it does promise is straightforward: a massive ice storage capacity housed in a sturdy, space-saving shell that lets you grab cubes fast and stay within health code standards. With over 4,000 5-star ratings and a solid 4 out of 5 average, the numbers suggest it's hitting the mark for a lot of people who actually need that volume. First, let's talk about the kind of environment where this machine shines. Imagine you run a small bar that serves a steady flow of cocktails throughout the night. You've probably experienced the moment when the ice bin is half empty, you're scrambling for a new supply, and the line grows longer. The B110PS stores up to 854 pounds of ice, enough to keep a busy bar running for several hours without a refill. In practice, that means you can set it up at the back of the prep area, fill it once in the early evening, and then let the ice flow out through the easy access door as the night progresses. The easy access design isn't just a marketing line. The bin opens wide enough that a bartender can slide a tray in and out without having to wrestle with a cramped lid, cutting down on the time spent hunting for cubes. Now, think about a catering business that needs to keep ice on hand for multiple events in a single day. The durable construction of the Ice-O-Matic unit means you can load it onto a service cart, move it from kitchen to banquet hall, and trust that it won't dent or wobble under the weight. The metal housing is built to handle the daily bumps that come with a commercial environment, so you're not worrying about a cracked bin after a few weeks of use. If you're a homeowner who loves hosting large gatherings, the same logic applies. A backyard barbecue for 30 guests can quickly deplete a standard home freezer's ice supply. The B110PS sits on a corner of the patio, quietly holding enough cubes for drinks, a seafood platter, and even a few frozen desserts. Because the unit is NSF Certified, you're also meeting a level of sanitary compliance that's typically reserved for commercial kitchens. That's a reassuring detail if you're ever concerned about cross-contamination or simply want the peace of mind that the ice is stored in a hygienic environment. Who should skip this purchase? If your daily ice demand tops out at a few bags a week, say, a single-person apartment or a couple who only use ice for occasional iced coffee, the B110PS will feel oversized and unnecessarily pricey. The footprint, while marketed as space-saving, still requires a dedicated corner of roughly 3 feet wide and 2 feet deep. In a cramped kitchen or a tiny bar, that footprint could become a bottleneck. For those users, a countertop ice maker or a smaller bin that sits on a standard refrigerator door would be more sensible. Let's get into the practical strengths that really matter once the unit is in place. The most obvious is the sheer volume. At 854 pounds, you're looking at roughly 10 cubic feet of ice, a number that translates directly into fewer trips to the freezer and less downtime. That volume is not just a number on a spec sheet, it means you can keep a cocktail menu that includes multiple drinks per customer without scrambling for more ice mid-service. The second strength is the durability of the construction. The steel frame and insulated panels are designed to endure the constant temperature fluctuations that come with commercial use. In real-world terms, you won't find yourself replacing the bin after a few months of heavy-duty operation, which saves both money and the hassle of a surprise service call. Ease of access is another genuine benefit. The toe-finged lid swings open fully, and the inner bin slides out on rollers, allowing you to dump ice into a bucket or a cooler without having to tip the whole unit. For a busy bartender, that translates into a smoother workflow. For a caterer, it means loading a transport cooler in seconds rather than wrestling with a stubborn door. Now for the weaknesses that some buyers notice after the first few weeks. Because the unit is built for volume, it runs on a dedicated 120-volt circuit and draws a noticeable amount of power. In a small office or a residential setting with limited electrical capacity, you might need to upgrade the outlet or coordinate with an electrician. The noise level is also something to keep in mind.